Hey everyone, Ben here and welcome back to more Assetto Corsa Competizione and the Low Fuel Motorsports seasons. This is the third race we'll be participating on Low Fuel Motorsports. It's also the final race of the season. We're at Imola. It is a cold and overcast morning race. This is the end of qualifying then that we're just looking in on. We actually had a pretty competitive time. We were into the top 10 with a couple of minutes of overtime left, but unfortunately we dropped down the timesheets as other drivers did a final lap, and we're going to be starting this race in 14th position, but that is still better than we've managed in our other two races. So I am optimistic about a better finish here, but it is a very tricky set of conditions as we're just now getting ready for the green lights. You'll see there it's 9:17 in the morning. Track temperature is cold. And it is a constant challenge through this race to get tyres into the right operating window. But we'll see how that plays out as we're getting towards then the green lights going on into what will be a very fast and frantic opening lap here at Imola. Cars then spreading out across the track as we barrel down into T1. We've already got one car off to the right hand side. We get a bit of contact to the left. This is very, very risky here as we just about hold our line and take faith that the car on the right hand side of the track wasn't going to spear back across. We've got one car on our inside here. We're just basically going to bleed off the throttle slightly there. He's got the advantage down our inside here. That's a Lamborghini on our inside. We're not going to challenge him side by side through this next corner. We're going to basically concede the position in order to guarantee that we get through the opening couple of chicanes in one piece. We do run the car slightly wide there into the hairpin, but ultimately I'm just relieved after those first couple of corners to still be running in one piece, and actually we've gained a single position. We are now up into 13th position in this race and we can build from here. Very, very intense opening part of this race there as we come through the very difficult double right-hander here for the first time. We get quite a nice run through that corner given tyres are still not up to temperature yet. We're in close proximity to the pack up ahead, so we just got to be a little bit careful with the concertina effect into the heavy braking zone of the chicane for the first time. Lamborghini up ahead runs slightly wide on exit, but we're not really going to be close enough to attempt to move down into the final two corners of the lap. But as we look up ahead, there's a big incident. 3 cars out as we just about get our braking all right to not rear end the Lamborghini up ahead as they slow down under the yellow flags, and we've gained another couple of spots there. The BMW was able to rejoin up ahead of us, but 2 cars beached in the gravel. We're not so lucky. We will take a proper look back at that and the other first lap incidents in just a little while. But wow, what action on the opening lap there at Imola as we are just seeing if there is an opportunity to overtake down into the left-hander there, but there just wasn't space. We didn't have the overspeed, so we thought better of sticking one down the inside, particularly given there were cars vying for position just up ahead as well. It really is quite nerve-wracking racing this close in the pack early on in the race, with everybody just trying to settle into a little bit of a rhythm, but equally trying to take advantage of these opening laps where the cars are quite packed together, and you can make up a position or two if drivers up ahead make a mistake. We're following through then into the left-hander here. We can see up the road there 6th or 7th position. This is uncharted territory for us on Assetto Corsa Competizione and on Low Fuel Motorsports. We've been much further towards the back of the pack in other races so far in this season, so we really are looking pretty good for a solid finish here, and if we could squeeze up into the top 10, that would represent a very satisfying end to our first season on Low Fuel Motorsports. We're coming through to the back end of this second lap then. We've closed right in on the rear wing of the Lamborghini. I am tempted by a move down the inside, but we think better of it. It's not really, in my experience, a place where you can safely get an overtake done. The track is just too narrow, and you will inevitably come together with another car, particularly if they don't see you coming. Down the start-finish straight then for a second time. let's use this gap in the action to take a look back at that opening lap and look at the mess that goes on behind us. And actually, there is a little bit of contact between ourselves and an Audi, as we were briefly 3 cars wide. We were very fortunate to get away with not getting caught up in some of that mess there. And there's more action behind us as cars come together on the exit of the first chicane. So all in all, I think we can be pretty pleased that we got through that opening set of corners pretty well unscathed. But let's take a proper look at where we came together with another car. The Audi there, getting squeezed in the middle, essentially comes over onto our line as he's getting pushed to the right, and that sets off a chain reaction of other accidents. Really, really unfortunate. I knew I didn't want to go 3 wide, so I was just sticking to my original line. This then is the episode at the end of the lap, and you can see a BMW just out of control and absolutely wipes out 2 other cars who were just essentially minding their own business. We rejoin then a few minutes later, 17 minutes left of the 25-minute runtime of this race. We're still in 11th place, and we've essentially been stuck in traffic for the next couple of laps of this race. It is a bit of stalemate. We've got pressure coming onto us from behind from Brady in the BMW, who I think might be recovering from having dropped down a couple of positions earlier on in the race. He's got genuine speed behind us, Brady, so he has been applying a bit of pressure, and it's very difficult because into some of these braking zones we've got very little space to operate because of the cars up ahead concertinaing together. So it is putting us under more pressure, as I think at this stage of the race at least I'm being a little bit held up by Frost, Gabriel and Malone up ahead. We're coming into the braking zone then here, and a very late move from the BMW behind us. He's down our inside and we get pushed out onto the gravel. We try and rejoin as quickly as we can, and then we just about make contact with the BMW. We manage to skirt around as he span at the next left-hander. Wow, that all happened very, very quickly. It's cost us a bunch of time to Frost and Gabriel up ahead. I wasn't anticipating a move down my inside into that corner, and it all got a little bit messy. Let's take a look at the replay then. He lunges down our inside. There's a tiny bit of contact. We're up onto the curbs. I very nearly lose control of the car completely, and I think we do just make a slight bit of contact with the rear of the BMW. We'll see more clearly from this angle. There he is, he shoves us off the track essentially, and there's a tiny bit of contact as we rejoin, and that's enough to unsettle his car. It is unfortunate. I don't think there was anything malicious in this move really. He's just, the space is there essentially for him to occupy, but he carries quite a bit of momentum into the corner. I can't disappear, and unfortunately a bit of contact was inevitable, and he's very unlucky really that then there's just enough contact in the second part of that move to send him into a spin. So we recover to the track. 4 minutes then pass in the race. We're still in 11th place, and Unaware behind us has come onto our rear wing, just 0.4 seconds behind us now because of that incident. We've managed to take out half a second to Gabriel up ahead, so we are closing slowly back in on the Honda driver up ahead of us, but we're not really making huge gains lap by lap. Unfortunately, so it has cost us a bit of time as we've got more yellow flags out. There's a BMW round to our left hand side that is going to promote us up into 10th position in this race. So the pack is still racing very closely up ahead, and that is generating incidents which we have just benefited from there as we come towards the end of another lap. We hook up the first part of the final corner very nicely, but then unfortunately we get up on the curb on the second. That's going to slow us down into the start-finish straight and put us under all sorts of pressure from the BMW behind. I'm going to be pretty powerless to defend here because we got such a poor run out onto the start-finish straight. And really, once that happens, he's just going to have the momentum. He's got the inside line. I'm going to get on the brakes at our usual braking marker, but he's later than we are, and that basically gives him the pass very easily as we give him the space on the inside. And we're back down into 11th place, so no sooner had we gained 10th spot than we're back down into 11th, just because of that very small mistake, which then cost us all the way down the start-finish straight. I'm going to try and put some pressure straight back on the BMW up ahead and see if we can't make an immediate re-overtake, but unfortunately it looks like he's got the move secure as we head into the middle section of the lap. Look in the rear view and you'll see Brady is squeezed right the way back up onto us there. He's now just 0.5 seconds behind us. demonstrating, I think, that he ultimately does have stronger pace than we do in that BMW as we come through into the difficult double right-hander, drift the car out wide and then try and hook up the apex, get on the gas as early as you can, but we've lost even more time now to Brady behind. He's 0.1 seconds behind. He's shaping to the inside. I'm not going to defend this because I don't want any more contact. He's shown that he is willing to stick one down the inside. That was a good pass in fairness, and he's definitely got more pace than we do. And my focus really is on securing a good finish for us, which in our terms in this race would be finishing higher than we started, which was of course in 14th position, and we're still in 12th place in this race. So a little bit unfortunate, we just haven't been able to sustain that early race pace, and I'll be honest, I sort of lost a little bit of confidence behind the wheel after that coming together initially with Brady, and the tyres still don't feel great. I haven't got them into the operating window when it comes to pressures. They're still a little bit low. Let's take a look back then at that incident which gifted us 10th place. The BMW getting it all wrong through the chicane and then catching Maloney in the Bentley too as he span across the track. He manages to rejoin but has lost all sorts of positions, and then here is the overtake from Brady down our inside, comfortably making his way past in the braking zone and onwards up the road as we have to settle for dropping back into 12th position. We rejoin them with about 7 minutes left of this race. We're really managing the gap back to Bratsos behind us relatively comfortably, but you'll see immediately Brady has stretched that gap out up ahead of us now to 3.5 seconds. So we've been a little bit in no man's land now, just looking to bring the car home. Our pace has been pretty good in terms of what we were able to manage in qualifying, so I think this is just basically sorting us out into the position that we were due to finish in the race. We just haven't quite got the pace of those cars up ahead. There is a white flag showing though, so it looks like maybe there's been another mistake up ahead. And yes, look, there's a Bentley off to the right hand side. That's Malone, who's going to be rejoining just behind us there as we make our way then back up into 11th position. So one more place back because of some sort of incident in that corner, and it looks like Gabriel might have been involved as well because he is slowed and is now the next car up the road to us. We'll take a look back at that as soon as we can to just understand what happened, but for now I'm interested in whether we can close up any further onto the rear wing of Gabriel's Honda, because we were evenly matched on pace earlier in the race. Let's take a look back before we get there though at that incident, and it is just a tag from Gabriel on Malone coming through the corner, and that has cost Malone huge amounts of time as unfortunately he had to take to the grass before rejoining. Very unfortunate for him. We rejoin then just 30 seconds or so later as we are still behind Gabriel on track, but we are keeping pace very nicely. And we just run it out a little bit too wide there. We don't get any sort of penalty for that as we don't gain time. But up ahead, another mistake from Gabriel, who is now struggling, it seems, to keep that car on track as well. I dare say struggling with the same tyre pressure and temperature issues that we are. We've got an opportunity then to try and close in and dive down the inside, but he gets on the brakes just later than we do, and I don't want to cause a collision at this point of the race with just 4 minutes left. So I think better of lunging down the inside and forcing the issue. He did not look in any mood to concede that position, but we are right now on the rear wing of him coming into the final stage of this race. Unfortunately, we go a little bit deep into the left-hander. We try and recover through the next part of the corner, but it is just too scruffy to give us the opportunity to get the slipstream and get a run on Gabriel into the first corner of the next lap. Just a few minutes left of this race then, and it basically is now a shootout between myself and Gabriel to see if we can get that final position in the top 10. Late on the brakes, down into second gear, try and just drift and guide the car through that chicane, and then back on the power as early as you can into the second straight of the lap. 0.5 seconds then up the road Gabriel here as we again down into third gear, then into second, just coast the car through up onto the curbing on the outside, make use of all of the track that you can to maximise exit speed, get the car turned in nicely into the hairpin, and again early on the accelerator if you can without spinning up the rear tyres. He was slightly quicker than we were through that part of the lap, but it's still under a second, that gap, and I want to maintain the pressure. We've seen enough in the last couple of laps to suggest that Gabriel is struggling with his car, so if we are able to just maintain that pressure, who knows what might happen in the final couple of laps of this race. We close right in again through the double right-hander. Again, he's very much out of shape on the exit of that corner. That is going to give us potentially another run into the chicane. 0.4 seconds the gap. It's not close enough to realistically make a move, so we have to follow him through the chicane rather than trying to get alongside. All of this, though, is slowing us down just a little bit to Malone behind, who is now less than a second behind us as we come down the hill into the final couple of corners of the lap, into second gear, just try and course the car through. But look at that again, Gabriel wide through the middle part of the final couple of corners there. That's going to give us the impetus once more as we cross the start finish line and come right up behind his rear wing, heading into the first corner of the next lap. So this really is nip and tuck here as to whether we're going to be close enough to make a move. It doesn't look as if we are. The Honda able to just get the straight line speed that he needs, and we're too deep on the brakes trying to make the most of that, but unfortunately it ends up costing us time rather than giving us the opportunity to squeeze onto his rear wing into the next part of the lap. We fast forward then to the end of the penultimate lap. There will just be one more racing lap and we get out of shape, and you can see in our rear view mirror Malone has squeezed right onto our rear wing. So actually we've gone from challenging Gabriel for the final spot in the top 10 to now being under all sorts of pressure from Malone behind us, who is going to have a run on us into the first corner of the last lap of the race. I'm coming across to the left hand side of the track to try and deter him from getting down the inside, but he then is going to try and make a move in any case. But thankfully we were able to be later on the brakes and we're able to defend that very nicely, and I'm grateful to Malone as well for not just sticking one down the inside, because I think we would have come together if he had. Into then the second chicane, try and get through there smoothly, but we've clipped the inside curb again. That's another mistake. Getting a little bit frayed now behind the wheel. We look to duck to the inside to defend into the hairpin. Very close to contact with Malone behind us there, but we just about closed him off. Flashing of lights in our rearview mirror from Malone. Hopefully we didn't cut across his nose too severely then. We will look at that in the replay at the end of the race, but hopefully now that is the final real opportunity to overtake on this lap. We just have to bring the car home. My aspirations of getting into the top 10 have gone. I just now want to hold on to 11th place in this race and not come to grief in the final few corners. This would still represent our best finish of the low fuel motorsport season so far. Through then the chicane, Gabriel getting very wide up ahead, but it hasn't cost him any time. Malone is still just 0.3 seconds behind though, so I'm going to have to be very careful into this final couple of corners. We get our braking spotted just about okay. He's too far behind to make a move. We close off the apex. We don't run out wide. We get a nice journey through the final corner of the lap, and that then is going to be enough for us to cling on to 11th place in this race and bring home a very satisfactory finish in the final race of the season. Huge fun, that race, massively intense. It ebbed and it flowed. Our pace fell away a little bit in the middle of the race, but thankfully we were able to hold on to a decent finish. Let's close out then by just having a little look at that final lap and our defensive driving against Malone. I was a little bit concerned, not with that one, but with this one, that we made too late a move to close off his attack. And I think we probably did. If I was him, I'd be a little bit frustrated by that. I don't think we did anything terrible, but I am grateful to him that he was able to get on the brakes there, because it was a bit of a late move across into the apex. There's the final classifications then. Very, very enjoyable race. We come home in 11th spot. We got a little boost to our SLO rating and a decent boost to our safety rating too. So a nice way to finish out the season. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, get subscribed, and I will see you on the next one.